In the twilight kingdom of Solhara, Cajun, a gifted painter, had always admired the warrior Lysandra. To him, she was the embodiment of strength, a muse whose courage he captured on canvas. He believed his feelings for her were love, but Lysandra's heart was not his claim. Instead, it belonged to Kale, her battle partner and Cajun's eternal rival. When the shadow forces descended upon Solhara, Lysandra led the charge with Kale by her side. Cajun, determined to be a part of the action, followed behind, though his actions was not in the battle. He was the artist's eye, but as the battle raged, Lysandra was struck down, collapsing in the chaos. Cajun rushed to her side, his heart pounding with the fear of losing her. "Forgive me, though my heart wasn't yours to have," she whispered, when she thought it was the end and fell unconscious. Kale too arrived too late. His gaze locked onto Cajun's, and in that instant, Cajun saw something raw in his eyes, something desperate. "Get out of here, Cajun," Kale shouted, shoving him away. "This isn't your fight." "I won't leave you," Cajun shouted back, his voice trembling. But Kale was already moving, charging back into the fight. Cajun could only watch as Kale tore through the enemies, his movements furious, reckless, alive in ways Cajun couldn't understand. Then Kale too was struck, blood stained the earth as he stumbled, slowly making his way toward Cajun. His breaths were shallow, his body faltering under the weight of the wound. When he reached Cajun, he paused, gazing up at him with eyes filled with something unspoken. His voice came out hoarse and broken. 3 words that cannot be heard. Before Cajun could process the meaning of those 3 words, Kale collapsed, dead. Frozen, Cajun stood over him, paralyzed by a feeling he couldn't name. His rival was gone, his words lost the shock. The battlefield felt silent around him. But inside his world was in turmoil. Why did his chest ache in a way it never had been before? Lysandra, though, wasn't lost. She lived, but the loss of Kale shattered her. She locked herself away, not only mourning his death, but also grieving a love she had never confessed. She too had loved Kale deeply, completely. But that love was silent, unspoken, and now it left her broken. She couldn't bear to face the world, not with this burden. The weight of Kale's loss held her captive in her own home, unable to escape the trauma of losing the one person who truly understood her. And Cajun, he couldn't escape either. His denial of his feelings for Kale haunted him. He had never truly understood the connection between them. Until it was too late, his rival had been the one who mattered, and now he is gone. Days later, Kale stood before the canvas, Kale's image unfinished, just as the words, "I love you," remained unspoken. He had never heard of them, but they would haunt him forever. Across in the kingdom, Lysandra sat in silence, paralyzed her grief, torn between the love she never shared and the loss that would define her. Both of them are trapped in a world without Kale, and neither of them is ready to move forward.